What is it that makes my Leica M11P distinctive, different from any of my other cameras? I received a comment where I was asked to consider taking pictures of a particular subject and using various cameras, and then let you guys know what the difference is. And my response was that that was a valid question, because too often we get stuck on specs, right? This camera can do this camera can do that, this lens can do this, that lens can do that. And we don't talk about the result. And if we do talk about the result, we're pixel peeping. We are trying to define the tool by what the tool does, which is kind of strange if you think about it. If I took 3 different hammers from 3 different hammer makers and hammered a nail into a block of wood, what would be the defining judgment on the ability of the hammer to hammer that nail? I would think as long as I'm able to strike the nail on the head and drive the nail into the block of wood, I should be fine. As long as the hammerhead does not break off or doesn't put me in a position to injure myself, I should be fine, right? And I see cameras the same way. None of my cameras are the same. Even across the same brand, my R6 Mark II from Canon and my R5 are different. When I take pictures with those 2 cameras, they're different. With the same lenses, the same settings, they're different. Maybe it's the megapixels, maybe it's the intentionality of how the camera is meant to be used that makes it different. My Fujifilm looks nothing like any of my other cameras. Every time I pick up that camera, I feel like I'm getting something that is so unique. Regardless of what film simulation I use, I could not get my Fujifilm XT5 to look like my Canons, nor do I want them to look the same. They're fun, they're artistic. The images that come out of it makes me want to print them out and put them in a photo album. They remind me of being a child and going to people's houses. Do you guys remember this? Maybe some of you might be a little too young. When I was a kid in the 80s, late 70s into the 80s, even into the 90s, you go to people's houses. I'm West African Nigerian, so you go to people's houses and they would, especially when you're there for the first time, they would pull out the photo albums, bring you out refreshments, and you would go through the photo albums. It was kind of like the thing to do, right? My family had photo albums, and you bring them all out. And I never understood that. Like, what was it about the photo album? But it was almost something magical by going there to do it and being able to introduce a family through images. And there's a quality about those pictures. Nothing was ever sharp. Nothing was ever perfect. But everything was a memory of a time, whether it was in black and white, whether it was in color, whether it was, in sepia. These images told you a story, right? That's why I love my Fujifilm XT5, because I know I'm going to get an image that feels about a time. Now with my Leica, it's like the perfect cross between the high technology of my Canon and the beautiful stretch into time of a feel and look that is my Fuji. But the thing about a Leica, it stands by itself, right? The images in there, they're special for me. And I think it has less to do with the camera itself and so much more with what I want to be able to pour out of the camera that I know I can't out of the other two. And I will tell you something, the one thing that is very unique and is the real flaw of Leica: focusing. That range focusing, those double images that you try to align so you can get your focus, that is the hardest thing to do, especially when you wear glasses like I do. When I'm taking a picture with my Leica, I'm usually using my right eye, which is actually my weaker eye. My left eye is so much stronger, but it just feels weird looking at the camera this way versus this way, because maybe it's just my human instinct to be able to have that free eye so I can see what's going on around me, right? But I look through the camera, I align it. I know it's always off. I know it's never perfect, but I have an expectation that the image is going to be sharp enough, but the color or even the texture, even in black and white, would be something that captures the totality of the moment, the environment, in a way that is album worthy. For me, Leica is not about perfection. Leica is about, at least my M11P is about the opportunity, the grace, the permission to stretch myself into a space that allows me to relive my childhood. But this time, rather than looking through an album, I'm looking through a viewfinder to capture something that I can put into an album. I don't know if that makes any sense,